boom goes the... I don't know where I was going with that. Hi, I'm Adam.
10 years ago. I'm Fletch.
I don't know slang. We're the BSI Comics podcast.
Whatever.
Be mad about it. Sounds better. Podcast. See? Rolls off. Podcast.
So does Vodcast.
No, it doesn't. No one says Vodcast.
We do.
Maybe you do.
Shirt's coming soon.
Probably not going to have it. But, so we got a little bit of news to discuss, what's going on in the world of comics today. And actually, we're running a little bit late. We normally record a little bit earlier, and it's almost to the point where we should probably wait because New York Comic Con starts today. But there is some news, and so we figured we'd do a couple of minutes.
Right.
So, to start with, I don't know if it's the big news. I think it's exciting news for a lot of people. Probably not for you so much.
Okay.
So there was an announcement that the Wildstorm universe is coming back.
Yeah.
And that Warren Ellis is going to be, they phrased it as curating it the same way. What's that guy from the My Chemical Romance? Gerard Way. The same way Gerard Way is doing the animal style, whatever it's animal. I don't know animals. Anyway.
Right.
But so he's going to be doing a book called Wildstorm itself. And then there's going to be some spin-off titles. There's going to be a Zealot miniseries who was one of the Wildcats. There will be a Wildcats, it's not miniseries, series. There's going to be a Wildcats series. And then there's going to be a series called Michael Cray for people who aren't too familiar with the Wildstorm universe. That was a character known as Deathblow. And thankfully they're dropping that title because Deathblow was a very generic 90s name because everybody had death in it at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Deadpool's probably one of the few that's still around. Deathstroke, but, So we know that Ellis is going to be writing Wildcats. We don't know what his involvement will be specifically with the other three titles. Presumably more to come at some point. But I'm guessing he'll probably write at least one more.
All right, at least an issue or two.
I'm pretty excited about this. I used to love Wildstorm. And I know it has its detractors, and it's certainly, if anything, the Wildstorm universe mostly suffered from the fact that it never really had direction. It was just sort of all over the place. You'd have Wildcats and Stormwatch, which were usually pretty awesome. And then you'd have Union, which I also liked, but didn't seem to fit in. And then it was sort of all over the place. And then it ended with them just deciding the whole universe is going to go apocalypse. And they're all surviving after, most of the human race is dead. I never really liked the Authority. That was another one that sort of came out of nowhere. But overall, I have a great affection for those characters. And I think that there's a lot that you can do in that universe, especially, since they seem to be rebooting it.
You think they fit in modern times?
I think Ellis will find a way to do it. Now, I've often said, my favorite writer, not everything does is golden. I forget what the most recent thing I read that he did that I just didn't care for. But,
Trees?
Trees, I didn't read that recently, but no, I didn't like Trees.
Injection
is awesome. Trees was boring.
My only concern is that they're announcing this and getting everybody excited, and it's going to be late.
You keep saying that, but that's not... There's no evidence of that.
Sure.
Trees is late, but what else has he done that's been late?
So he's only doing one book and it's late.
Karnak, you can pretty much say outright right now it was the artist.
I don't know.
They had to switch artists.
I don't know.
It was definitely, and don't get me wrong, Karnak, definitely a disappointment. That was the Marvel book I was most looking forward to. One issue, it was great. And then I didn't even read issue 2 because it was so late. But I'm excited about it. I think it has a lot of potential. It is kind of a curious thing for Ellis to do because he's in a phase where he's doing a lot of experimental stuff.
So is Jim Lee going to hop on some of this stuff too?
That's a good question. I kind of hope not because I don't know if you remember, but the last time Jim Lee teamed up with a A-list writer to do a series was the Wildcats 2.0 that got one issue and a cover for issue 2 and never came out. It was him and Grant Morrison. And it was interesting stuff, although it was typical Morrison, kind of talking out of his ass.
If they want to sell that book and they put Ellis and Jim Lee on it,
You know who I'd love to see on it? He actually, I think he sort of came out. I'm not sure if it was his first work, but I'm a big fan of Carlos de Anda, as you know, and he's an artist that came out of Wildstorm, never really got his due. Like, he's been sort of in the background of a lot of things. He did those Arkham Asylum books, the video game tie-in.
Did a bunch of Star Wars stuff.
Mm-hmm. And actually, I'd say him and Matteo Scalera are probably the two artists that are doing the most amazing, like, commission work. If you go look online, there's a lot of great artists doing a lot of cool stuff. It was Mahmoud Ajrar. I know it was one of your favorites. He's the guy that does the warm and cool gray stuff. But Carlos de Anda, I first noticed him on Wildstorm. He was doing Stormwatch Team Achilles. I would love to see that dude Michael Cray or Wildcats do something. And, of course, a lot of people are saying, like, bring back Travis Charis. He's doing video game stuff. I don't see him, like, taking a pay cut. You know, but you never know. So, there's that.
You got a text message?
No, I got to use my phone because the battery's dying on the computer, so I didn't know all that. Anyway.
Professionals.
So we got a bunch of news because, again, today was the first day of New York Comic Con. A bunch of DC news.
Yeah.
First of all, we're getting a Batwoman solo series. She's currently, like, the co-head of Detective Comics. Have you been reading that?
Yeah, it's been good. Biggest thing, Batwoman, character everyone seems to love. Character went away. Character starred in animated movie. Nothing to support it.
Mm-hmm. I'm kind of well, first of all, let me tell you, the creative team is Marguerite Bennett and Steve Epting. If you're reading comics for a long time, you're probably familiar with Steve Epting. Marguerite Bennett's fairly new. She's done a lot of stuff. She's been here and there. She's been a little bit, I think, in the Bat universe. I know, and people aren't going to like this, but she was the writer of the Lobo series that came out in New 52, which people hated, not so much because of the series, because DC decided to change the character up.
Change Lobo completely.
Yeah. Which, fair enough.
There's New 52. That's what they did.
What I've read from her has seemed pretty solid. I'm willing to give it a chance. My only thing about Batwoman is, like, I'm not disagreeing with you as far as people's opinions of it.
Right.
But for me on Batwoman, I'm not that interested in that character. I'm always interested in who's, like, the creative team on the character.
Okay.
Like, when it was Rucka and J.H. Williams III, who is, of course, my favorite artist, when they were doing Detective, I don't think there was a cooler book out there for quite a while, and quite a while after.
Interesting stuff, cool panel layouts.
And even when it came back to J.H. Williams and Hayden Blackman, I think is his co-writer, when they were doing it, it was still really cool. But when they got off of it and they brought in Mark Andreyko, I didn't care much. I'm willing to give this a chance. Again, Steve Epting, can't go wrong with that. And Marguerite Bennett, we'll see. So, but pretty interesting, and it's good. They're, in this age where they're always talking about diversity, this is a character that seems pretty solid, that has a following. Like, let's actually see DC do something with her instead of sort of keeping her on the back burner.
Right.
All right, the next bit of news. So there's going to be a second Justice League of America title, or is it third? I'm really confused because we had the JLA carryover with what's his name, Hitch.
Kind of.
Is it canceled for sure now? Brian Hitch was doing a Justice League series called Justice League of America prior to Rebirth. It was supposed to keep coming out after Rebirth, but then it wasn't going to come out, but then it came back.
Then it got put back on, then it was canceled again.
And we're not really sure.
And it came out a couple weeks ago.
But did it finish?
Or like a month ago.
Did it finish? I don't think so.
Maybe.
I think it was supposed to. I think it still has like 4 or 5 issues.
He said he was going to finish the run. Then it was said like that might be the last issue. I just wish they'd move on. Stop.
But the thing is, then they put him on Justice League as writer, which is super confusing. If the guy can't keep up with the schedule, why are you going to put him on 2 titles, both of which are your flagship books? Anyway, that's just me. But there's going to be another JLA title. I think it's actually called, because that's the thing about Justice League. Sometimes it's called Justice League. Sometimes it's Justice League of America. At one point it was Justice League International. And then there's like JLA. So, sometimes when they reboot it, they just switch the name for some reason. But we all recognize JLA. It doesn't really matter.
It just makes it harder to find the computer.
But yeah. But this version of JLA is actually going to be pretty interesting. First of all, I can't remember who's writing it, but Ivan Reyes is coming back as an artist.
Okay.
We haven't seen Reyes for a while. He did the Rebirth special, right? Or parts of it. Not all of it, but parts of it. But other than that, like, he'd been gone for, I think, since his Justice League run. I'm pretty sure. So he's doing art chores for sure. He might be co-writing it. But the team of heroes is going to be, first of all, Killer Frost, the Caitlin Snow version that you can see in the Flash TV series. It'll probably be a different version, but it's Caitlin Snow.
It'll be attached to that kind of where it's recognizable,
Right?
which is smart.
We're going to have Vixen in it, who I think has been sort of absent for a little while. There's going to be the Ryan Choi Atom, which was the successor to Ray Palmer that the New 52 got rid of. And then the last one has me intrigued, but kind of anxious. We discussed My Love of the Ray. They have announced that the Ray will be part of JLA, and it will be my version, the Ray Terrell version, which
Your
makes
version.
me very nervous. Well, the version that I love, that I grew up with.
Right. You can listen to the other episode when we went into detail about...
I don't remember what episode that was, but I love the Ray. I was a huge fan of it. Christopher Priest, Howard Porter, and I can't remember the artist that replaced Howard Porter, but great series. Loved it. Always wanted that character back. He was in Young Justice for a while after the Ray was canceled.
Right.
But once that went away, we haven't really seen much of the character. He pops up here and there. And they announced that there would be a TV series. I thought, was it CWC that's going to have it?
Yeah.
And but it wasn't going to be the Ray Terrell version. It was going to be the Grant Morrison
Different
gay
Ray.
version.
Yeah.
So hopefully they kind of stick to that. Nobody knows, but I'm a big fan of that character, so that'll get me to check out the book. But please don't screw it up, DC. Please. So, have you watched Luke Cage at all?
I am roughly halfway through the series.
I haven't gotten to check it out yet, and we're supposed to both finish it and discuss it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's apparently a big hit. Like I'm hearing like Daredevil season 1 kind of applause for it.
It's very, very good. Very good.
You did have some apprehension about some of the content, though, right?
Like what?
Didn't you say there was a lot of language that would not be especially appropriate for this podcast or children?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But it's a Netflix gritty, one of the Marvel gritty shows, so it's probably a little grittier than the Daredevil and even the Jessica Jones stuff.
In terms of like violence or
Violence.
Because Daredevil season 1, I still haven't watched season 2, but season 1 was super. Well, there were moments that actually kind of made me a little queasy.
I mean, there's people getting shot in the head and stuff, you know.
All right.
Language, violence, but it's excellent. It's set in Harlem. It's real, you know. I know they use this word a lot. Street level, gritty. It's very, very well done.
For the record, when you're a white guy talking about black people, don't do street in quotations.
That's what Marvel calls them.
I'm just kidding. Anyway. No, but the nice thing about it, I haven't seen it yet, but it's kind of showing you that the Netflix stuff, there's no flukes, because Daredevil season 1 and season 2, even though it's a slightly different creative team, you kind of expected season 2 to be pretty good, if not as good. And I've heard some people say it's as good, heard some people say it's not quite. Jessica Jones was pretty solid as well, completely different creative team. Same thing with Luke Cage, but it gives us hope that, because it could have easily been Daredevil season 1 was it, and then everything else.
Right.
And I had my complaints about Jessica Jones. It was a little bloated, should have been cut a couple of episodes, but overall, pretty solid series.
What's really cool is each show, feels like it's part of this same street level universe, but they're all different.
It's okay.
They all have a little bit of a different flavor to them, but they all feel like they're part of the same universe. It's
right.
It's not like one's way over here and one's way over here. You can definitely see how they're all intertwined, and they even sprinkle in a couple things from the movie universe in there too,
right.
where you might not catch it or you might catch it, but it's cool.
I like that for the most part, though. They do they'll mention it, but they don't really try
right.
to delve into it. I think that's why Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. largely sucks, just because they always kind of they feel like the tag along little brother.
That's kind of what I was getting at. The Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. feels like completely over here when everything's over here, whereas the
Netflix
shows are just
could actually stand on their own. Like if you've never seen a Marvel movie, they totally work. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. not so much, but we're not getting into my problems with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. just yet.
The characters, the actors are all good. I don't know the guy's name that plays Cottonmouth. Might be my favorite character.
From what I understand, it's a lot of actors that you'll recognize facially,
right?
But there's those type of actors that, what's that guy's name? Yeah, that guy was in that thing, right? But that's cool. I mean, and I like that it's actors that largely you might recognize, like Foggy Nelson, Eldon Henson. Like, it took me a minute. Like, oh, that's the kid from Mighty Ducks. But
there's lots of
I like that.
Lots of cool characters. Mariah, Misty, all that stuff. Just highly recommended, and I'm not even finished it.
I'm really excited to watch it, and I'm even more excited for the series that I've been waiting for since before Daredevil was announced. Not before Daredevil, but before Daredevil premiered, which is Iron Fist. That's the one, like, I really wish they would have done that first, because that's what I've been wanting to say.
You're Iron Fist.
No, I'm soft. I'm mushy. Anyway, we don't have much else, but I did see some news that they're well on their way to casting all the actors in Han Solo, the Young Han Solo show, which of course I have.
Young Han Solo Adventures?
Yeah, which I have a little bit of trepidation about. I'm not sure it's the greatest idea to do a Young Han Solo, but
I don't doubt the mouse, man.
We'll see when that's how I do. I've worked for them. We'll see when it comes out. But they announced that they're looking to cast the female lead. I can't remember all the names on it. I can't remember any of them offhand. But some of them are fairly recognizable, not super famous, but same thing. Like, oh, I know that actress. The thing to note is that these are black women. The reason it's worth noting is that early on in the Star Wars run, I want to say it was around issue 6 or 7, there was a character who popped up named Sana Solo, who claimed to be Han Solo's wife.
Right.
And there's some argument in the book as to whether or not she actually is. They leave it kind of open. But what that means is there's a very good chance that we'll be seeing Sana Solo as the female lead in this, and even telling the story that they allude to in the issues of Star Wars, which,
pretty cool.
For those of you who are speculators out there, you might want to get a hold of those issues just in case. I know you don't like it when people speculate. I'm just saying, there's a good chance. So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Lastly, I don't know if this is even worth mentioning, except that it's kind of annoying. Paul Feig apparently has a cameo in the LEGO Dimensions game. The Ghostbusters booster pack, and it's a small one, but it's kind of a joke on the fans, where he makes a comment and says, "I wonder if they would be mad if I remade Back to the Future." Look, I don't know whether that was a good movie or not. I've heard a lot of bad things about it. I've met some people that really liked it. I don't really understand this constant, like, yeah, let's just keep berating, like, the fans.
Right.
That movie bombed. They didn't make their money back. There's not going to be a Ghostbusters 2, at least not with those people involved.
There might be.
You think so?
I don't know.
They announced it before the movie came out that there would be a second one.
Right.
We're about to have somebody come in. Oh, there's our friend Mikey.
Right.
So we're going to close this up really quick. I just wanted to point that out. Screw Paul Feig. He seems like a bigger douche the more I see of him.
Yeah, I kind of like at first I was like, this guy, whatever, good intent. Now it's like, why would you do that? Did you think it was funny? It's not funny.
And when you see him talk, he looks like a jackass. Anyway, so quickly, our recommendations.
You want to go ahead and recommend your book?
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead. Okay. So, I talked a lot of smack, not online, but if you were in the store, Fletch said it looked cool. I said it looked like garbage. I'm not down with the constant Marvel, like, all diversity all the time crap. Give me the heroes that I grew up with. Don't just treat the masks like they don't matter. But I'm going to tell you, Champions #1 was pretty awesome.
I was right.
Champions #1. I'm not the big fan of Humberto Ramos, not because he's not a great artist. He is. I'm just kind of not into his style as much lately. But Mark Waid, one of my favorite comic book writers, really sells it. If you go on to bsicomics.com, I actually did a mini review with no spoilers, but highly recommend Champions. This is the Marvel Now ! Flagship book, and it actually lives up to the hype. Please go check it out. And buy it here if you're in the New Orleans area.
My recommendation is probably not a surprise because it's been sitting right behind me, but it's also another Marvel recommendation in a DC-heavy episode. Jessica Jones, the new series. It's the same creative team as the original, so if you're a fan of that work, you'll dig this. It looks the same, it feels the same, with the slight tweak that it feels a little more intertwined into the rest of the Marvel books that are going on. It's not more of a standalone, Max series. It's
not a Max series. They took all. It's the same series, but there's no.
But it does say parental advisory.
Yeah, but they didn't curse once, and there was no lewd sexual acts.
I think there was.
I'm pretty sure there wasn't, but I could be wrong. Well, don't give it to a kid anyway, because if you like this, you're gonna actually want to go check out the older issues of Alias, which are really awesome. I think it's now Marvel has a trade. It's Jessica Jones Alias now for the trades, but either way, which we should have a copy of.
I have some coming in because someone came in and said that they really enjoyed this, and I told them they should read the originals, and they didn't realize that they're originals.
Right.
So
which is the problem with changing names, But yes, definitely check it out. I actually loved it. I'm a huge critic of Bendis.
I hate when Bendis is right. Just like
all right, so that was the BSI Comics podcast. I was Adam.
I've been Fletch.
And my battery's about to die, so keep it comics or something. I don't know.